Well, everyone, you did it. You forced us yet again to do another episode of Disc Review. You put the gun to our heads and said, give us content. And we said, okay, but when can we go home? And you said, hey, shut up. Just do the thing. And so here we are. My name is Max Allen.
Hey, I'm Matt.
We are here to bring you Posty Malone. Why don't you talk about what we're going to be reviewing today, Matt?
Yeah, we wanted to keep up with, what's moving and shaking in music nowadays. We've done a lot of retrospectives. We want to keep up with what's relevant. Here we're listening to 12 Carat Toothache, the newest record from Post Malone. And, I mean, we both like Post Malone. I wouldn't say we know everything about him or like every song he's ever put out, but I've been a fan. I mean, especially if it's more, really popular stuff. I know all of that. So that's just kind of the perspective we have going in here. And how was this record for you? Like, just opening thoughts here.
Yeah, this was it was very different than what I expected. I started listening to Post Malone during his last album, Hollywood's Bleeding, and that album is really good. I like it a lot. I think pretty much every song is a banger, and I'll listen to the whole thing all the way through and enjoy every song. And so I was kind of expecting something like that, a little more, a little more poppy, a little more catchy. And this one kind of threw me off by substituting some of those poppy, catchy elements for more, I would say, artsy and honest, kind of a honest style where it's not as much. There still is going to be some flexing. He's going to flex on us. So, be prepared to get flexed on hard. Yeah. But it's less of that and more of kind of just posty thoughts, sad boy hours, and those are things I like, but I think that the things that he substituted, the things that he sacrificed, are not going to play well for this record in the future, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made some good points. Like, I think I liked the sad boy hour emo Posty. I didn't know he was this emo, or if this is just him letting loose and being full emo. But yeah, the lyrics here are really dark, and for the most part. And I liked it and thought it was fine. I thought that was the most artistic thing about it, was just like his person, how personal the record is. He's trying to tap into some emotions. I thought that was like the best thing for me. And I've always thought Post Malone's really good at writing catchy choruses or just melodies in general. And he's still good at that. I just think, there's like a couple of songs that I think aren't as catchy as I've seen him be. And I agree, like, maybe that might impact, like, how much this record is listened to, especially some of the deep cuts on here. But that was just kind of some initial thoughts I had after going through the whole record.
I think that he probably doesn't care as much about having the number one album at this point, because his last record did so well that he's kind of untouchable at this point. People are going to listen to his music regardless of what he does. And so I think he had the opportunity to kind of just let loose and maybe be himself a little bit more on this record without worrying so much about what's cool right now and what people are expecting. And, whether that's good or bad for the album, it's kind of subjective, I guess. But I think we both kind of felt like this album maybe wasn't as good as his last one, even though there are some good songs on it. Well, why don't we start with Reputation, song number 1. I think it's a very surprising start, a slow piano with some dramatic vocals. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I think it's nice. I always enjoy piano-driven songs, especially when they're more sad and reflective. But it was just the contrast from going from the last album to this one really threw me off, but it got me excited for the rest of the record for sure.
Yeah, I kind of just... it's the first song, and I didn't know what to expect here. It definitely was the song that cut me off guard, being like, wow, this is way more emo than I thought. But I thought the lyrics were the highlight of the song for me. You're right, this is him just letting loose and being more authentic and just, just kind of thoughts and feelings, and that's just kind of what the song is, and a lot of them are like this. But yeah, it's a good opener for that tone, because that's what a lot of the record is when it's not, it's either him trying to make that catchy pop song that he's good at, or just doing this.
Yeah, it does feel like it kind of goes back and forth on this record, where it this tone comes in and out, and it's kind of mixed in with him throwing in songs that kind of sound like the last record.
Yeah.
And it just weaves in and out of that. One thing I did notice about this song, and I've noticed it about Post Malone in the past, but his vibrato, the way he sings, the shakiness of his voice is really good. He's a very talented singer. It's funny because you look at him and you would not picture a beautiful voice to come out of that man, but it does.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a good singer. I've always thought that he's really good, and that's what's, I think, getting a lot of fame, is he's got a great voice and he can write good songs. I mean, that's all you need, and
that's true.
Using that to his advantage. But yeah, I mean, track number 2 is Cooped Up. I feel like this is the song that was probably like one of the least for like us. Like, we don't really listen to that kind of music, and it just, I don't know, I think it was good at what it was trying to be. It's just not the kind of music I listen to, so I don't have many thoughts on it. But yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, this one it was one of the singles, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's more rap. It's featuring Roddy Ricch, and yeah, not typically what I listen to, but it definitely had an energetic feel.
Yeah.
It's it's a reflective song about his lifestyle and the way he feels about it, and kind of comparing that to the feeling of being cooped up in a house. I think that the chorus is pretty good, and the feature is good. It's fun.
Yeah.
It adds a different layer to the song, and I especially like when Roddy Ricch talks about how Post Malone took him on his first tour and pretty much, gave him that huge boost in his career. I think that it's always nice to see how artists interact with each other and how they help each other and become friends along the way.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun to hear about that shared history and stuff. Some behind the scenes is always fun, I think.
Yeah, and then that brings us to song number 3, Lemon Tree, and I think this one is gonna be one of the most polarizing songs on the record, because I think it's my favorite song, even though it's not at all what you'd expect from Post Malone, and it's not the catchy pop songs that he's used to doing. It's a very different style, but I thought that it was really fun. I mean, it's kind of got an acoustic sad boy feel, and a lot of the sad songs that Post Malone writes, some of them can feel like they're hard to relate to, because he lives such a dramatically different lifestyle from the normal person. And so his problems don't always, I can't really relate to a lot of the things that he's going through. But I think that we can all relate to the feeling of thinking that everyone else has something better than you, and feeling like you're just either left out or you can't catch up, and everyone's just living these great lives and you feel like you got the short end of the stick. Everyone's felt that before, and I think that it comes through really well on this song.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought this was one of the better songs, and I think it was still really catchy and some good lyrics, and yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt that way about this, where it's like, yeah, he's flexing on us 1 minute, but then saying his life's hard. But like, I agree. There's different perspectives you can look at that, and it's like, money's not gonna solve all your problems. So, and it's kind of nice that you can look past that and say, look, all I'm saying is that, I feel left out on that happiness in life, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand, like 100%, and that's why I definitely related this one a lot more. But yeah, I mean, I liked this one a lot, and the way he says "better" is funny in a good way. I thought like he did a really good job.
Yeah, all Western.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But track number 4, "Wrapped Around Your Finger," another one I liked, kind of similarly to Lemon Tree. I feel like he did kind of an iconic style for Post Malone. It's a prominent bass line, and his singing sounds good together. Kind of like Circles was one of his most famous songs, and definitely had that style on. I felt like this one was kind of similar.
Yeah, this to me, this sounded most like his last album. It's a very good, catchy pop song, high energy, and this is probably the one that gets stuck in my head the most. The lyrics in the chorus are really catchy. I find myself singing that a lot, and that's not something that you find on every song on this record. I mean, there's some songs on here where when I was going through to make my notes to talk about them, I was like, man, I don't even remember listening to that song, even though I'd listened to the album several times. But this one sticks in your head, and I think that it's going to be, it's hard to tell with the streams right now because the album just came out. But the streams are pretty low for Post Malone, and I am interested to see if they get, where they get to after it's been a while, because the last record he did, every single song was in the hundreds of millions of streams, and a lot of these don't even break 10 million. And this is one of those that doesn't even break 10 million, I think. Let me check. It has 12 million, which is an absurd amount of streams, but for Post Malone, kind of small potatoes here. I think that that's surprising because this is one of the more... I would expect to hear this one on the radio out of all of these.
I definitely didn't think that was interesting, but I'm not like up to date on like how quickly you should have a lot of streams. It really.
I know.
It's a changing market, and it's kind of confusing sometimes.
Yeah, we haven't really done a new record yet, and so this is the first time we've had to come across that issue where it's like, is this a lot of streams for what it's supposed to be, or it's hard to say. The next song, though, is I Like You, a happier song, featuring Doja Cat. And I actually thought this was the best feature on the album. I think that Doja Cat's verse was really solid. I think that she did a great job, really phenomenal. And this is another kind of like poppy song. I think right here we get like a patch of poppy strong hits right here, and then later on in the album we start to get much more sad and slow and kind of minimalistic songs.
I agree. I thought this one was like the most, and it was trying to be this, but it's like that simple pop song, like that's just what it wants to be, and that's totally fine. It's got a catchy chorus, that's for sure. Like that I heard it once and it was stuck in my head. So I get it. To me, this kind of came off like this is the radio song. And I mean, Doja Cat plays so much on the radio, and I think that's why you bring her on for something like this. Like it totally makes a ton of sense. I'm shocked the stream count is so low. I feel like this is one I could hear on the radio, and it's good at being what it wants to be for sure. She's a great feature, and I know this is I get why they had her on this track for sure. Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, we'll have to go over a Doja Cat album at some point because I haven't really listened to much of her stuff, but
I heard a bit.
She's really good. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely heard her like on TikTok and stuff, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, the last one was, in parentheses, a happier song. This one is I Cannot Be, in parentheses, a sadder song, which I think is kind of fun. I haven't really seen anyone do that before, so that's an artistic way to do your titles, which finding ways to do your titles always improves an album for me because it shows that they put time and thought into every part of the album instead of just kind of doing generic names. What did you think about this song, though?
I liked it. This was a fun little like angry breakup song to me. It's kind of how it came off, and just got some catchy melodies, and it's very it feels very similar to like Wrapped Around Your Finger to me. Like it's kind of just a solid song with the Post Malone style again, but it's kind of to me like how I feel about this record. It's like if you like Post Malone style, you'll like this because this is more of that. Like he's just got a very unique voice and the way he writes songs, and it's just like I don't feel like this record breaks like any crazy ground for me. Like I feel like this is just what he does done well again. And a lot of the songs, that's just kind of how I feel about it, including this one.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, this one's one of my least favorites. And just because it felt a little generic, it wasn't anything special. Like you said, it was kind of just Posty being Posty, doing the things he usually does. I thought the feature was a little lackluster, didn't do much for me. I'm not really a Gunna fan, though, so I can't really, like, if you're big into Gunna, then maybe it was really cool to see that. But I did like the message, though. You know, it was a good message about not being able to reach your full potential because of the other person holding you back and kind of needing to be free of that. Otherwise, I didn't think too much of the song.
Yeah, but I get what you mean. This is probably the least memorable feature for me. Because there were some really good features on this, so definitely tough competition. But the next track is Insane, which I'll say is probably my least favorite on the record. And just because there wasn't any catchy melodies that I like, it just didn't. It didn't. I felt like he's usually so good at writing catchy melodies, so it felt kind of off that this was kind of lacking. It just kind of felt more standard than kind of like what I think Post Malone can write as far as catchiness. So it's probably the least memorable for me. And I didn't. And when I looked at the lyrics, I was hoping to find something more more interesting with the lyrics, and maybe that could kind of change my mind. But I didn't see anything there as well.
Yeah, this one had maybe the least memorable. Well, no, it had a memorable chorus, but it just wasn't a good chorus to me. You know, because it had a level of catchiness to it. I just didn't really love how it was sung, I guess. But this one reminds me a lot of Rockstar, which is obviously one of his biggest songs.
Yeah.
It's got like a darker feel with a heavy sub bass. I like the line where he says, "Yeah, we both got a house, but it's different," because I'm sure this man just lives in an absurdly expensive house. But I mean, he's got to be one of the richest artists out there right now, right? He's, I would imagine, other than like maybe The Weeknd.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely. He's number 11 right now.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Maybe at some point we should go through and like talk about the top artists and like if we agree with where they're ranked. I think that'd be fun. But let's move on to Love Hate Letter to Alcohol. What did you think about this one?
I really liked the guitar. That was what like stuck out to me was like the cars.
I did too.
I wish I kind of got to hear even more of it, to be honest. Like it was interesting. I remember really liking the verse on this one, but I didn't think the chorus melody was as strong as usual for Post. But yeah, I mean I didn't dislike this song.
Yeah, this is another one of my favorites, but I don't think it's gonna be a super popular one as time goes on. It's a little more artsy. It's got like that a cappella opening with a huge cinematic tom drums in there. And it's very open and honest, which I think is always a plus for music. You know, it talks about how alcohol both ruins his life, but also is the only thing that really brings him comfort. It also is the first reference we have to the title of the album, where he talks about losing a tooth in a bar fight.
Yeah.
And that's something that comes back a few times.
Yeah, I liked the story nature of it was kind of why I thought the verse is interesting to me.
But then we go on to Wasting Angels, and I don't know really how I feel about this because Post Malone is really good at writing sad / like nostalgic songs, and I feel like this is one of those, but it's just like when you compare this to compare this song to Feeling Whitney, like is it even close? Is it even as close to being as emotional? I don't think so. And I think that's kind of the problem I had with a lot of the emotional songs on this record.
Yeah, I mean, I tried not to compare it to a lot of his other work just because I'm not that familiar with everything, and I kind of wanted to just take it track by track. And doing that for me, I liked this song. It's probably my favorite feature. I've already liked the Kid Leroy a lot, and just like his voice is so unique to me. It's just kind of like I don't really know all of his work, but I just anytime I hear his voice, I think it's really interesting. And same as Post, so I think they worked really well together for me. And I thought the instrumental was solid and some solid, melodies on top of that. And they did some cool little, chanting in the outro just to like make, I felt like that was really like a good change of pace where it was just like breaking up like the standard formula. So yeah, but I mean, to compare it to some other work, for sure. And that's kind of how I felt about the record as a whole is definitely like it's tough coming off of some really good albums here if you're going to compare them.
Yeah, I mean, comparing music is always really hard because of
Yeah.
its subjective nature. I feel like comparing an artist to themselves is a decent way to compare, if you're gonna compare, but you're right, it gets kind of messy, especially because this album, he wasn't going for the same thing on this album.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes sense that you're gonna have some that excel in one thing and some that excel in another.
Track number 10 is Euthanasia. Probably my favorite theme on the record just because it really, really gets dark and personal and some interesting lyrics. Probably not as much standout melodies and instrumental, though, for some of compared to the rest of the record, but I think definitely props for interesting theme. This is a really personal look into some dark thoughts, which I thought was really was cool from an artistic standpoint.
I definitely agree. The theme of this is very dark and hopeless. It's, a message about feeling like the only way to end the pain is through death, and how he wants to die a painless death through euthanasia. There's something strange about listening to a man talk so longingly for euthanasia. It's like it's a very unique feeling, and I like the song for that reason.
Yeah.
But it is really sad.
I agree.
We also get to hear him talk about spitting a tooth in the trash can again, which is, I feel like that's why he named the record like this, is because it sounds like there's some symbolism going on there with losing teeth and kind of losing hope as well, because he talks about, he gave up on keeping himself intact. The next track is When I'm Alone. This, to me, is probably one of the most forgettable songs on the album. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It just isn't one that sticks in my brain. The chorus is all right, but I couldn't really tell you much about the verses. And coming off of the last album where I thought all of the songs were pretty memorable, it's, I felt a little let down by seeing a handful of songs on here where I didn't really connect with and couldn't really, I wouldn't ever throw this one on personally. But what about you?
Honestly, really interesting because this was my favorite.
Wow.
This had the best energy and melodies for me. I really liked the instrumental. There was some interesting. I mean, instrumental just because it provided so much energy, but it has a couple little spots that I thought was interesting. There's some cool synth work.
Yeah, maybe I need to revisit this one then.
But yeah, I mean, I don't. I was definitely like. I mean, it's got one of the lowest string counts. Like, I'm probably in the minority here about it, but this one I just really liked. I just liked the melodies. It doesn't really even get any more deep than that. I thought this one was catchy and stuck with me. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's like, I'm not like, it's been days and I'll remember the melody perfectly, but like I might throw this one on. Like it's got an energy I really like, and it's fun to listen to personally. And it's because I just think like it's got a lot going on, and I think that's good. Like, I think the songs that I liked less on this record didn't have much going on, but I kind of liked the beat and the energy of this song for me.
Yeah, you mentioned the stream count, and I took a look at the stream count just barely, and it is low for Post Malone. But I think the stream counts of the next three are what's most interesting about this album, because we have 3 songs left here, and 2 of them have the lowest streams on the album, and one of them has the highest by far. And so we'll get into that in a second. But the next one is Waiting for a Miracle. It's a very soft and emotional song. It's pretty short, just over 2 minutes. I thought it was beautiful sounding. I don't think the style is going to pay off as much for Post Malone, like we were saying with the stream counts. I think that he's painted himself a little bit into a box, which I believe is the exact opposite of what he was trying to do. A while back, I saw an interview with Post Malone, and he was talking about how he didn't want to be considered a rapper because that was too confining. He wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be able to do pop and some rap and some folk and whatever he wanted to do. I think that the problem was he kind of made it big because of his more rappy pop songs, and that's now just become what people are going to expect out of him, which is kind of sad, because I think that is going to make an album like this one with songs like Waiting for a Miracle to get kind of swept under the rug, lost a little bit.
Yeah, and that's interesting because of the slower, darker songs, this was probably my favorite. Yeah, like it was interesting, and I just felt like the melodies were good, and but I agree. It's like it's a tough thing, and I think if you're going to break out of that kind of mold, it's got to be drastic for me. Like it's got to be a big change, and it's got to be really, really good to convince people to kind of let you break out of that mold, because people want to keep you there, their fans, and that's probably why this sits at some of his lowest stream counts. But I think it's totally, he can do it. But yeah, I think this is it's still so similar to his style that I feel like it's not drastic enough for people to realize he's even making a change. It's kind of what I'm getting. Like they probably don't get that he wants to do something a little bit different. But so maybe next time he'll try a little more drastic.
The one instance I can think of that working is Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
How she got her start with country songs and then made a huge dramatic change to pop songs, and everyone still loved her for it, which was great. And then even with her last album was very like folk and acoustic, and that was a huge change, but also very beloved. So I think that if Post Malone did something kind of like that, it might break that cycle for him, and he might be able to do some things that he wouldn't be able to do without that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. She's the best example of that, and pulling it off is difficult. But if you're as talented as her, and Post Malone is very talented, he can definitely do it. And it's just whatever he wants to make, and if this is what he wants to make, then that's fine. 100%.
Yeah, definitely true.
Like you said with the stream count, track number 13. I mean, I 100% get why this has the highest stream count. It's The Weeknd, one of the biggest artists in the world, doing what him and Post Malone do best, honestly. I mean, this is easily the catchiest song on the record. And, I mean, this has the most streams because it was a single, released quite a bit before. I'm not actually 100% sure when it was released.
I think like a month before or something like that. But
yeah, like a decent amount before. So this has had a lot of time, and I'm sure plenty of radio play here. And yeah, this is a really solid song. We both really like The Weeknd. Have we never talked about The Weeknd?
We haven't, but we need to.
Yeah, I mean we were big fans, so 100%. Yeah, like this one for sure. It's got a great slappy synth that I just think's great.
Yeah, the instrumental sounded more like a Weeknd song than a Post Malone song to me. It was like super 80s synth with those punchy drums in the chorus, and I definitely agree that this is the catchiest song. It's really catchy. I find myself singing it. For a while, I was singing it, and I couldn't even remember who it was by. I was like, "Is this The Weeknd? Am I remembering a Weeknd song?" But no, it's a song that I had barely heard, and it was just stuck in my head. I really like this song, and it deserves to have 300 million streams.
Yeah,
So,
I kind of get the
no.
impression that the Weeknd kind of he likes to just bring his style on to his collaborations for sure because he knows it does so well, and it's
Yeah,
really good. 100%.
some artists probably take a back seat when it comes to features and kind of just, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? I'll sing it here if you want me to. Yeah, The Weeknd does seem kind of like a guy who's like, all right, let's just write this thing together. Let's do all of this together because it really shines through. Another song that it reminds me of is, I mean, not stylistically, but, that Weeknd song with Ed Sheeran. How that whole song sounds like an Ed Sheeran song with The Weeknd.
Oh yeah.
I think that he
Yeah.
kind of just does, he likes to be a big part of mixing it, and I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the final track is New Recording 12, January 3rd, 2020. And
Yeah.
this has the lowest stream count, but for good reason, because it's kind of just like a bonus tacked on at the end. It's sounds like it's a voice note off of like a phone or something,
Yeah.
where he's recording his idea for euthanasia. And I think it's a very clever way to end the record. I always love insights into how things are made, and especially because it's 2022 now, and to see that he had this idea over 2 years ago and was just like sitting on it, and now it finally gets to come to fruition. I think that that's got to be really satisfying for him.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, this is like an interesting closer. I like the title. I think it's always fun to feel like you're like a part of that process, and you can kind of see how a song was made and what it went through. But yeah, I mean, I really like the acoustic decision. Like, I mean, obviously he wrote it with the guitar. I almost want to say he should kept it with the guitar because I think it's a really good acoustic song, and I liked it. I liked this version better, even though it's just a brief snippet of it. But yeah, definitely.
I kind of like the way he
choice.
sung it better too.
Yeah, I agree. Like it was kind of, but that's kind of like what I meant earlier, where it was like, if he, to break out of that mold, he probably did need to do this acoustic because the way it is on the other recording, it's so similar to his other style. It doesn't seem like he's breaking away. But that's just kind of like how I interpreted that.
So why don't you give me your closing thoughts on 12 Carat Toothache?
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to talk about records that I don't have a ton of experience with, and I definitely like some of the songs here, and I really like Post Malone. I definitely didn't have as dramatic standouts as his last record, but I think that's kind of normal that sometimes people just don't want to go as crazy with it on their next record, and just kind of he definitely wanted to slow it down and take it more personal, and I actually really appreciated that, and look forward to more. Yeah, I hope he keeps writing more catchy songs because he's really good at it.
Yep, I think I agree with everything you just said. It wasn't what I expected at all, and I think that in some ways it exceeded my expectations. In some ways it didn't. But one thing that is huge for this record is how personal it is, and that's gonna put it in a special place for him, I think. Even if he goes on to make very poppy records in the future, he'll always have this to sit back on and reflect. I appreciate any artist that puts it all on the table and likes to experiment with different styles. I think Post Malone will probably experiment with different styles in the future, and we'll get to be blessed by that. But yeah, I like this record. I think it's probably not my favorite Post Malone record, but it stands out for sure. Man, this was a little more difficult than some of the other ones we've done, just because we haven't done a new record before. But I think that it was a good way for us to grow, and hopefully we'll be able to do some newer ones
Well,
in the
we just need
future.
to try it and we'll figure out our right style and pace for a record that's brand new, so we don't have a lot of time to sit with it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. But thank you for anyone listening. We really appreciate you. We hope that you'll leave some comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Just a reminder, we are on Spotify as well. I'll link that in the description, so go check us out there. We're trying to move the podcast a little bit to Spotify so that we can have, it's just a better place for it. So please support us over there as well. And as always, thank you for listening. We love you.
Thank you.